What's up guys, my name is Valdovinos, and on this channel I provide tips, tricks, advice, and strategies for your graduate school applications. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. In this video, I am going to share with you an updated version of my curriculum vitae, which includes things that I accomplished during my first year as a PhD student at the University of California, San Diego. I do want to caveat this video by saying that everything on this curriculum vitae has been things that I accomplished within the last 10 years of my academic career, which began in undergrad. So when you are thinking about adding things to your curriculum vitae or resume, make sure that they are things that you've accomplished since you started undergrad until where you're at now. The first thing that you want to do is you want to add your name to your curriculum vitae or resume. So as you can tell here, I have my full name, so Ivan Valdovinos, and then I put EDM, which is the master's degree that I completed. If you don't have that yet, don't worry about it, just put your full name. This font size is font size 22, and then below that, the font size is 14. And so it's Times New Roman for the whole curriculum vitae here. But at the bottom, I chose to put in where I attend school. So I attend school at the University of California, San Diego, and I'm in the Education Studies department, and I'm a PhD student. If you are not a PhD student, if you are not a master's student, if you're still in undergrad, then what I would suggest that you do is under here you put in contact information. So a professional email, which I do have, but I obviously highlighted here in black. So I redacted it, that way you're not able to contact me, because I don't prefer for people not to contact me through my student email. You can contact me through LinkedIn. But if you are a student who is not currently in a graduate program, in this section put either a LinkedIn account, website, a web page, put in your professional email, whether it's a school email, an undergrad email, or a work email, but make sure it's professional and it's not cute and with a funny name, because professionals are reading this curriculum vitae resume. So make sure that you put that under that section. You also want to include things like maybe a website that showcases your work. If you are in, let's say, graphic design, or you're an artist, those are things that you can include under your name here. Try to avoid including your phone number and your address too, just because they're going to see that information on your application when you submit your application. So there's no need to add it here. I know that most traditional resumes or CVs ask you to do that, but honestly at this point that's kind of something that's just old and traditional, right? So you want to make this fresh and new. So avoid using your phone number and your address, because they're not going to look up your address. They're not going to call you on your phone. They're going to contact you through email. So try to include your email, a LinkedIn account, or try to include something that's going to provide more information about who you are as a professional in your field. The next section that I have is my education. So as you can tell, I have my PhD on here, and I put it's Education Studies, Transforming Education in a Diverse Society is the name of the PhD. Under there, I include the university, so University of California, San Diego. It's located in San Diego, California, and I'm going to graduate in 2025. And my advisor is Dr. Francis Contreras. So as you can tell, when you read through the rest of my education here, I do have a spot for my advisor that advises my work. And so I suggest that if you are, let's say, an undergrad, that you completed an honors thesis or in some type of research, that you include your advisor there. And the reason why is because faculty members are going to be reading these resumes, right, and CVs. And so if they know and have worked with an advisor in your field, that's going to bring you some more points, because they're going to be more inclined to read your entire application very detailed. And especially if your advisor wrote one of your letters of recommendation, that's going to even hold a bigger weight. So I suggest that in your education section that you have a spot for your advisor. If you did not conduct research, then you can put things like accomplishments. So if you have an honors thesis, or let's say you reached a GPA of a 3.5 or higher, then you want to make sure you put like magna cum laude or just cum laude, whatever is the designation. I would put that in there. And if you maybe won a big award, like let's say like a senior award or something, then I would include that as well in your education part of the resume or CV. The next subheading here that I put is research experience. The reason why is because a graduate school education is going to be heavily focused on reading and writing and research. And so I wanted to show the committee right away that I have research experience, especially because a PhD is a research degree. So if you're applying for PhD programs, make sure that your research experience is right at the top of your CV. So as you can tell here, I included 3 research experiences. So my most recent one is with the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program, which I'm currently performing here at San Diego, at the University of California, San Diego. And my advisor is Karen Van Ness. And I put ABD, which means all but dissertation. So she hasn't received her PhD yet, but she's in the process of completing that. And as you can tell here, I started in 2020 and I'm still doing it. So I put present. And in the details that I have here in the bullet points, I described exactly what I'm doing with this project. So as you can tell that I'm being detailed here. So I said, I'm responsible for developing a needs assessment project and report in order to improve program services, activities, and/or supports that students need. I am constructing a literature review focused on returning students who have been reinstated into college/university after academic suspension. I developed interview protocols and questions and facilitated interviews with 5 to 10 students. And at the end, I'm going to write a report that will be shared with CASP and UC San Diego Student Affairs Office. So I want you to be very detailed in your explanation of your experiences. Because right now I am still working on this project, I haven't really included very detailed explanations, but if you have completed a research project, I want you to be very specific with your methods, very specific with your with the purpose, your questions, what type of methodology did you include, did you use a theoretical framework, what were the results, what were the implications. Those are things that I want to include when you are explaining your research experiences. The other 2 experiences that I have here are from my undergrad. So I was a part of this program called the Ronald D. McNair Achievement Program, which I was part of it for 2 years, and here's my advisor. And here's what I did. I did an original study about father involvement in children's education. So I wrote about that. At the bottom, I wrote about my experience at the Summer Research Institute, where I worked with Dr. Nolan Cabrera, and that was in the summer of 2014. And I also wrote a little bit about what I did there. If I'm honest here, to improve these, what I would do is I would write more detailed explanations about the questions that I wanted to answer, the methodologies, how many students did I interview, what were the implications, what were the outcomes. And so I want you to do that when you are describing your research experiences. The next section that I added here, and in terms of my update, is ongoing research projects. So currently I'm working on this project with one of my colleagues called Countering Deficits, Understanding the Racialized Experiences of BIPOC First-Year Graduate Students During the Pandemic. At the bottom here, I described a little bit more about the project. I have that I'm going to be using critical race theory and qualitative methods. Because it is in the work, I don't have that much detail to provide because I'm not at the results section yet. I'm going to interview students, but it's pretty much stating like, here's what to expect that I'm going to be doing with my ongoing research projects. So if you are currently working on research, have a section that says ongoing research projects and include all the ones that that you are currently working on and you hope to complete before you start your PhD or graduate school program. The next section that I have is publications. So publications, I do want to mention that you don't need publications to get into a PhD program. And the publications that I do have here on this CV they were in small journals. So for example, I had one in the McNair Journal, which is hosted by the program that I was in. So it's a very small journal that the institution that I was at and the program that I was in, that they compile. So I put that in here. I also put that I published in the American Journal of Undergraduate Research. If you are an undergraduate student and you want to publish in like a big undergraduate research journal, I would suggest that you look up American Journal of Undergraduate Research, and I would publish in there because it does hold weight. It's the biggest undergraduate journal for undergrads, and I want you to make sure that you are able to publish there if you can. That way you can put that on your resume or CV. And as you can tell here, I have an organization that I have done. So the first thing that I did was I included the name of the study. Then I put my name, so my first initial and my last name. Then I put the name of my advisor here. Then I put the name of the journal, and then lastly, the data was published. Same thing with the other one. So I want you to do that when you are describing your publications in your resume or CV. The next section that I have here is conference presentations. So in this section, I mentioned all the places that I had completed presentations for all my research projects. So and you want to make sure that this is reverse chronological order. So the first one should be your most recent. So right now I have been accepted to present at the 2022 annual meeting of the American Education Research Association as a roundtable presentation. And then I put in the name of the article that I'm going to be presenting. And so that's the first thing that I presented, or that's the first thing that I put on the conference presentations section. The next one that I put is I was a guest lecturer for EDS 113 at the University of California, San Diego in the spring of 2022. And I did an oral presentation on a project that I titled The Impact of First Year Seminars on First Year Latinx Community College Students During the COVID-19 Pandemic. And so I want you to make sure that you have a structure when you are describing your conference presentations. And you can take my structure here and use that for your own. As you can tell also that I highlighted the type of presentation that I was doing. So I did a roundtable, oral, poster, etc. So you can do that as well if you want to showcase what type of presentation that you have done. And the reason why I wanted to highlight that in bold was because I wanted to show the committee that I had that I could communicate my research in different means, right? So one way could be roundtable, one way could be oral, and the other way was poster. So I wanted to show that I was able to communicate my research in different mediums. The next section that I have here is teaching experience. So as a second year PhD student, and even as a first year actually, I have the privilege of being a teacher assistant. So if you are an undergrad that is a teacher assistant or has done something in the teaching field, whether it's tutoring, whether it's student teaching, then I suggest that you write that in your resume or CV. So as you can tell here, I wrote that I was a teacher assistant for the Education Studies department, and below that my position. So teacher assistant for education courses, University of California, San Diego, starting in 2022 to present. And in here, I was detailed in terms of how I did with my teaching experience. So for example, I said that I facilitated discussion seminars for education and social justice related courses such as EDS 25, American Higher Education and Collegiate Experience. Seminars are composed of about 25 undergraduate students, and I engaged in course development by preparing a review of lecture material and support students in applying the content, which includes using pedagogical tools such as activities, dialogue, and slides. I hosted office hours and managed the Canvas course account. At the bottom, I highlighted it in bold, courses taught. So I have taught 2 courses so far. So Education Studies 113, Chicano Higher Education Experiences, and then I put the instructor here, and then the year and the semester or quarter that I completed this experience at. The second course I taught was Education Studies 25, American Education and Collegiate Experience, and then the instructor's names on here, as well as the quarter that I taught. The next section I have is higher education experience. So the first thing that I did was I included the most recent experience that I have. So I put my consulting that I have been doing with you all here on YouTube as well as Fiverr. So I put the name of it as Ivan Valdovinos Grad School Consulting, and I'm based in La Jolla. So I started this, and then my title is Content Creator Entrepreneur. So 2020 to present. And so I explained here all the stuff that I have done. And as you can tell, I was very detailed, right? So I said, create, film, and produce 2 YouTube videos a week with the focus on teaching prospective graduate student applicants about the graduate school application process. I host graduate school application masterclasses with my audience of 1,500 plus subscribers. I provide feedback on statement of purpose and resume/CV for my clients via the Fiverr freelance platform. So far, I have generated $1,800 in client work and $500 in consulting with higher education institutions. And then some major accomplishments. So I posted 104 videos on YouTube. I have generated 1,500 plus subscribers, 5,000 plus hours of watch time, and 95,000 plus views. The next experience that I have is called the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program, where I was a graduate student assistant. And here I was developing and facilitating weekly, once a week learning community workshops for 25 to 30 first year and transfer students. I also engaged in OLC development by planning topics, collaborating with campus and community partners, and designing the syllabus. I also created and facilitated weekly remote, synchronous, interactive, and informative workshops in the topics of housing, financial aid, summer session, study abroad, financial literacy. Finally, I utilize Zoom breakout rooms, Kahoot, Padlet, Mentimeter, and Google Docs to support and create an engaging remote learning environment. So as you can tell, I was very detailed with describing what I did with this job, right? And so what I want you to do is be as detailed as I was. Make sure that you name every little thing that you have done with the organization to provide as much context as possible for the committee. And the reason why I stress being detailed is because this is your initial interview, right? The committee's only going to be able to assess your application based on what you write on the statement of purpose, your letters of recommendation, and your resume and CV. And if you're very vague, they're not going to get a sense of what you accomplished within each role that you held, based on what you put on your resume or CV. So I want you to be as detailed as possible. And I was as detailed as possible for all the things that I wrote on my resume and CV. So I'm not going to go through every single one just because I do have a lot, but I'm going to scroll really slowly here so you can see. So the next thing that I have is the TRIO Student Support Services. I was a project director. Then I was a college mentor program volunteer, Cambridge School volunteer program assistant, and then Harvard Graduate School of Education. I was an admissions ambassador, College of Arts and Sciences student ambassador, admissions office. I was a student rep / tour guide, and I was detailed in every explanation. The next topic that I have here is international education experience. So here in this section, as a reader, you should expect to learn about things that I have done internationally. So the first thing is I was an undergraduate researcher with this project called Reducing the Plastic Waste Problem in Manaus, Brazil. And so I was very detailed in terms of what I did in Manaus, Brazil. So for example, I provided a project-based approach to reducing the plastic waste problem in Manaus, Brazil, developed a research proposal, recommendations, and pitched an idea to WSU faculty experts and greater WSU community. And my team was selected as the winning team of the global case competition, and we traveled to Manaus, Brazil to present our solutions to stakeholders such as SCMULSP and then other organizations. So as you can tell, I was very detailed in terms of what we accomplished with this project. Then I was also a summer camp counselor with the Camp Adventure Youth Services internship, where I volunteered 400 hours with children ages 5 to 11 years old. I also mentored 20 to 30 children at the U.S. Navy base in Sasebo, Japan. I coordinated cultural enrichment activities, facilitated and planned weekly events for 20 to 30 children, chaperoned and maintained control during my daily activities in classroom and field trips, worked with 70 Japanese campers for 2 consecutive days, and then I also trained undergraduate students to assume roles as summer camp counselors on military bases around the world. The last section that I have here is my honors and awards. So as you can tell, I put everything that I have accomplished within, since I started undergrad, so 2013 to 2021. And these are all the things that I saw as major accomplishments that I wanted the committee to know that I accomplished. On the application, you will have a section that says to input, I think, up to 5 accomplishments that you have or awards that you have received. And you can put some of those and repeat yourself from this to there as well. But I don't want you to put like a major list. Make sure that it's like maybe a small list that they are able to really just skim through really easily. That way they get in a sense of what you have accomplished and what awards you have received. Alright guys, so that concludes my video on sharing my updated resume and CV for graduate school. I hope this video really taught you something about writing your own resume or CV for your graduate school applications. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I look forward to reading those and commenting. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.